The first thing I always look for is, do I have big blocks of text? Because when you're reading a course and it's just a whole page of text, sometimes you lose your learner's attention. And so I look for that. And then I look, okay, how can I make this more exciting? Yeah, start there. Wait, let's go back. So before I say anything else, I want to let everyone know that everything I'm about to say can also be found in our course, How to Build an Open edX. So all of this is there in detail. So if I'm going too fast or you missed something, you can find everything there. So the first component we have here is the advanced component. I say this is where all the fun stuff is. You can find word clouds, polls, surveys. If you are going to be using the Ishi Media app, which Kevin and Bemi will talk about in a minute, that's where you find that. I like to start my courses with these because I want to start with something fun. For example, right now I am building for Ishi an AI Essentials course. And we're going to start out with a poll of, have you ever used AI before? And everyone's going to respond, yes, no, we'll get the percentages. And then we're going to tell them, hey, you have and you haven't, you used it. I also love using word clouds to grab their attention. So this to me is the fun stuff. All right, next slide. There's also this video component. So if you have a YouTube link and you don't need to use the Ishi Media, this is where you put your YouTube link. I like to use videos to break up large blocks of text. Let's say I look and there's just a lot of text there, then that might be something we put into a video. I also like it when you need to demonstrate a concept, show them how it's done. If it's a difficult concept that you know that just reading it isn't going to be enough, you do it. Storytelling. Students love storytelling. I know with history, you turn to a story, you got their attention. So that. Also something to keep in mind with videos, the way I look at videos is if someone's already made it and it's good and it fits my audience, we will not recreate it. So when you go through the courses that we make, you'll notice there's a mix of videos we made and other people have made because that's how we look at it. Video takes time. And so if someone's done it and it's great, use it. All right, the next one, Joss. So discussion, this is where you imitate classroom discussions. I love putting discussion boards into courses. We recently did a feedback session with our learners and someone told me how much they like to go back and revisit the discussion boards because they learned so much from the other learners. And this is in these big open courses where students still like them because they can learn from each other. All right, next one, Joss. This is your text box. This is the one you'll probably use the most. We use text box a lot. Even if, let's say you're putting a video on a page, you still want a text box above that just to tell them why you're watching this video. Watch this video to learn blank. When you are done, do blank. We also use it to connect ideas. So like, here's a video and then here's something else. There we use it. This is also, let's say there is a big group of text. It's got to be there because sometimes we're in education, you have to read. And then that's might be where you can add graphics to break it up, add a little more excitement. So you can do all that and more in a text box. So when you click text box, this is what you're going to see. Next slide. So if you just want a classic text box with a basic editor, you just hit text. And there you can just type it in. We also an announcement one. Another one I use a lot is an iframe tool. So we use some secondary sources like H5P, or sometimes websites will give you an embed code. You can use that there. You can also use a raw HTML. If you are really good with your coding and you know how to code HTML and you want a certain thing, you can just stick it in there. And then the zooming image tool, it's a little harder to use, but especially if you're using maps or other complex images that you want your learner to zoom in and out of, you can use that. Okay, next slide. Open response. This is what we use for writing assignments. So this is where you get your students to explain what they know, to prove that they know what you've been talking about. And you can set them up, you can have them grade each other, you can score them, they can score themselves. You add your rubric, and we go in detail on how to use this in the course, How to Build an Open edX. Okay, next slide. The problem, this is like our favorite. This is where you test what your students know. You can do multiple choice, true, false, drop down, check boxes, and more. I love to put these in the middle of a course just to see, hey, how are we doing? And sometimes I don't even grade them. It's just like a quick self-check for themselves. Next one. And then we've got the drag and drop. This is really fun for interacting, especially if you want them, like when you want them to play with the content in a safe way where they can kind of experiment. Drag and drop is great. That's where you grab something and you drop it. Me and Joss's favorite one is the one we built in How to Learn in Open edX, where we have a plate of food and they have to match the different Ethiopian food with the name. That's a really fun one. So wait, go back one more, forward one more, Joss. So matching, labelizing, categorizing, sequencing, you can do a lot with drag and drop. So those are your basic components. And so when I make a course, I go through everything that Kim just said. They'll tell you, everyone on the panel will tell you I'm very obsessed with. We have to plan everything first. I have tried to do it where I throw everything on there first and then do it, and it never works. And I've learned the hard way. Plan it all out first. I look at it and I think, okay, how can I make this better? What Open edX tools do I have that I can use? So I would suggest that everyone go in there and play around with those tools and take the course, How to Build an Open edX. All right, Joss, back to you.
Thank you so much. Before I take it to the next section, in few words, what would you like our audience to take? And this is based on this question, which among the type of content is important? Is it text? Is it video? Is it discussion? Which one is more important when you're building your course?
I think if actually, I think they're all important and it depends on what your objective is. So it's most important to pick the component that's going to help you reach your learning objective. Now, let's say we're talking about practicing to learn Open edX. I would master the text box first because that is the one you use the most. Get used to using that one first because you will need text a lot. That's how we guide our students through the course. And then after that, I play around with your advanced components. And then learning how to add videos is also extremely important. And Kevin and Bemi will talk about that in a second.